Hello everyone, good morning or good afternoon, and very welcome to this Gatehouse Maritime webinar on how to protect critical maritime infrastructure. I'm Ulrik Høj Petersen, and I'm the sales manager and just joined Gatehouse for my second tour. And with me I have a known Gatehouse employee, Morten Christian Larsen from the Maritime Development Team. First, some practical information. You can forward questions during the webinar in the chat, and we will be answering your questions in the Q&A session. We will also answer all the questions that comes in the chat afterwards. We have around 30 to 35 minutes for the webinar itself and 10 minutes for the Q&A session. The webinar will be recorded and the presentation will be available via link, so you have the opportunity to see or hear it, or us again, or share it with your colleagues in your organization. But first, let me introduce the agenda. We have prepared the following agenda, and today's overall theme is, as said before, how to protect our subsea assets in the best possible way. We have prepared 3 acts where we step by step take you through the Gatehouse solution, and where Morten will do some demos and present different scenarios. Act 1, which is our proactive solution. How do we plan for subsea assets deployment? Act 2, when in operation, how do we set up protection in real time, and how do we warn the shipping of our subsea assets? And finally, Act 3, how do we reactively do things once the damage has occurred? And to sum up, we will address some of this. We'll take some key takeaways, and lastly, we'll have the Q&A session. Gatehouse has been in the maritime domain for more than 25 years, and some of the areas we have been pioneering, and some of the pioneering have been done in the assets protection. Our main office is located here in Aalborg, in the northern part, and we have also a sales office in Tampa, in the United States. With our colleagues in our SATCOM division, we are around 80 employees. Through our many years in the maritime domain, we have built up a significantly expertise and competence. The Gatehouse Maritime solution can be accessed through our own platform, the Maritime Domain Monitor, MDM abbreviated, or you can also use your own system using an API into the Maritime Domain Monitor. Safeguarding offshore installations have never been more important, and with the current international situation, it's about safeguarding our values and safeguard millions of people's communication around the world. The Gatehouse Asset Protection solution provides the ability to single-handed to plan for deployment of offshore assets and set up the protection zones that quickly alert you when ships are violating the guard zones and borders, and our solution automatically sends out warnings to the shipping. Morten will show you some of the live incidents and how it is working. We'll go now to the Act 1, the proactive measures. How do we minimize risk around offshore installations? We need to get a clear picture of the shipping in the area and of interest and where we want to deploy critical infrastructure. We need an accurate visualization of the ship's traffic in the area, and we want a presentation of the navigational hazards and where we do have safe locations and that can support a deployment and project plan, but also pinpoint the risks we must take into account. Morten will now show you some of the features and functionalities that can assist you in the planning process.
Right. So in the planning process, there's, of course, a lot of steps to go through in environmental safety and other issues to be taken into account. But once you get through a lot of those, we can also assist using some of our analytics tools. For instance, we can help you generate traffic statistics for the entire area of interest, like we've done here. So this is a density statistic shown for the English Channel for a planned route between England and France. If we dive a bit deeper, we can do density statistics or other statistical analysis for the safety zone around the cable, which is what we're doing here. And you can also dig into more specialty items, such as, for instance, fishing activity. So looking at fishing activity in and around the plant zone, what we're doing here is we're looking at fishing activity for the plant zone. The red one is active fishing, and the blue one is fishing vessels that are moving from fishing ground to fishing ground. This, of course, cannot stand alone, but this is a great tool to help in the planning process.
Is it so more than when you, so to say, have done your analysis? This is so that you can print out a report from the system and just use it for planning purposes?
All of these analyses can be saved as PDF or any other type of export. Most of them can also be exported as SRE shapefiles and can be imported and used in other GIS tools. So they can be imported into your own tools and used in your own workflow as needed.
Thank you, Morten. We have the real-time protection at the second act. We are now planned for our undersea assets and are now ready to set up and begin our operation in real time. Morten will further on bring us through a couple of scenarios and demo some of the unique features that make our solution preventive but also actionable. In other words, the impact of damaged undersea assets have consequences, as I mentioned, for not only a couple of thousand people, but for millions of people. The price for repairing or simply losing assets does not match the price of a monitoring and surveillance systems like the Gatehouse solution. So what can we provide to avoid accident, Morten? So Morten will now take us through the second act, which is the real-time protection.
Okay, so once we have access and we need to set up real-time protection, we start with defining the geofences that we need and the rules that can be set up for each geofence. Each geofence can be added manually. I'm just starting a little video here, so we can just draw any type of area or any type of line that we would need to monitor. Zones can also be imported, so cable areas or pipeline areas can be imported from existing GIS tools, and then we can create safety zones around these assets. Once a geofence has been established, we can associate rules with this for each zone, helping to ensure that only the vessels of interest can trigger the alarm. There's a bit of onboarding and there's a bit of filtering, and we support all types of whitelisting and so on. We also have different types of alert. So for instance, you can set up different types of notifications. So you can get just a notice, or you can get an actual alarm. I'll go to the next one here. This is one of the systems in action. We have a new event that has been triggered on one of the pipelines. And I'll just start the video. You can see that we have a couple of events that have occurred on this cable. One of them marked with the question mark has not been acknowledged at this moment. So the operator is looking at it. This one has already been acknowledged, and the one below has not yet been acknowledged. So the operator needs to look at this alert and see if this is something that he needs to take action on. Once you show the event, the target vessel will be marked. You'll get a timestamp for the activation of the alert. You will get a track for the offending vessel. And when we zoom in here, we can see that the vessel has been anchored outside of the safety zone and is currently drifting into the zone while at anchor. The operator will just, in a few moments, will do a quick sanity check. So he'll use the measurement tool. And he'll just quickly measure the distance from the asset to the vessel to make sure that it's within the zone where something needs to actually occur. So he's just measuring the distance, and we can see that the vessel is quite close to the asset. So he needs to do something about this very soon.
But isn't it so, Morten, that we also you have preventive measures? We can communicate with the ship of interest.
Absolutely. Once an alert notification detector has been set up, we can automatically alert the vessel. We can automatically alert operators either by text or SMS, and we can alert the vessel by sending AIS messages where this is possible. So if you have sending capability, we can do that, or we can alert the vessel using Inmarsat terminal messages as well. The next slide here shows some of the algorithms or some of the typical events that we can detect. So we are not just looking at geofences. Is the vessel in or out of the geofence? We're actually looking at different types of activity within the zone. So we can detect different types of threats. So this could be like the event that we just saw, someone drifting while at anchor into the area or drifting inside of the area. We can detect fishing activity. We can detect anchorings occurring in and around the zone as well as others.
Isn't it so, Morten, that we can actually replay the incident?
Yes. Our UI has a lot of capabilities. Besides these automatic reportings, we also have an AIS viewer. You have the ability to export data, import areas, and replay data in real time as well. So you can see the event occurring real time, even hours or days after the event has occurred. This is an example also from a live system. So this is a vessel that has offended near this pipeline, and we can see that a message has been sent using an AIS transponder. So the vessel has received an AIS message indicating that he has changed direction in an area where he should not change direction. Depending on your area of operations and the local authorities, you can or cannot send AIS messages.
Yeah. But I mean, the replay and recording is also very beneficial.
Yes,
for the following, if there is some kind of legal process afterwards.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Morten. We'll now go to the Act 3, which is the reactive measures. And concretely, what do we do when the damage has occurred, and what is next step? Morten and I have the opportunity some years ago to do analysis where we had a customer, and I can freely speak here. It is the TUSAS that had a broken cable on the side towards Canada. And I actually talked to the law firm and the lawyers who made the case last week. And one of the takeaways from what they said is the fact that the Gatehouse analysis and the tools, and not least the data, was so accurate that the law firm representing TUSAS recommended simply a settlement, and they simply did not go to court. So you can say that is one of the takeaways from having a system like the Gatehouse solution, is that you have, as I said initially, you have before in real time, and then the after following process, where you are able again to use the record replay facilities and present it into court. I can say that the TUSAS, because of the Gatehouse analysis, that our customer got the full or achieved the full compensation for the technical damage itself. Following the case here, our customer now operates, and I can easily say, one of the largest, if not the largest asset protection solution in the world, covering nearly 2,000 nautical miles of undersea cable. Morten will now take us through the last act and show you some of the unique features that can make a concrete case where you can bring it to court.
Right. Once we have the real-time asset protection up and running, all of the data from every vessel, as well as all events that have occurred, will be stored in our database. We and our clients usually run reports every week or every month, detailing and plotting every event that has occurred. So this is one of the live examples again. We can see that we have this safety zone around a fiber cable between Belgium and England, and we have these two markings where we have some anchoring spots very near. This is a plot for a week, where we can see every event that has occurred near this cable. Up here on the top hand side, we can see that we have a lot of vessels drifting from the anchoring zone and into the safety zone of the cable itself, as well as we have a lot of fishing activity when we go further out along the cable. So these events can be plotted and can be analyzed after the fact to see if there's additional safety measures that needs to be done. This could be extra warnings, the ability to put out aids navigation in high risk zones, anything like that. And our software supports this as well. We can place aids navigation and send them out using AIS transmitters as well. Though we hope and presume that we do not need to, we also investigate any incidents that could happen. This is one from a couple of years ago here, where we have a dredging vessel that is sailing out to a pipeline and dumping sand very close to the pipeline, and doing this consistently over a couple of months. This was investigated, and the company was contacted, and the activity stopped. So all of the plots and all the events can be investigated after the fact, and we can analyze and help you determine which of them are actually threats and which of them are not.
Yeah.
Yes. We can also take a look at another example of this. So after the events have been plotted, we can also just plot the entire track of every vessel that has generated an event. This is a fishing vessel fishing near a fiber optic cable. So we can see that he's fishing quite a long way from the cable, and then he switches over to fishing right near the cable and also across the cable. So this is one of these danger examples that we see all too often, and this allows you to contact the vessel owner and hopefully get this activity stopped.
Yeah. Now, I was thinking one thing also, because you and I, we did the TUSAS case.
Yes.
And following that one, especially when you have telecom cables that connect to Canada or to Iceland, and again, thousands of people are relying on a steady communication. But there are other situations where we can say that is not fishery. This might be some other purpose. For example, we have certain types of ships surveying along the cable in order to find the possibility simply to either break the cable at a later stage or simply to monitor what is going on the telecom cable. So I know some of our customers are very, cautious about who is actually sailing. I mean, as Morten just said, one thing is just a passage over the cable, but when you see, for example, patterns like you see here, it gets into a more suspicious nature, and that's why we have the possibility to record and report simply.
Yes, and of course, all of the suspicious activity that is detected is stored in the database and can be exported and handed over to the appropriate authorities if some suspicious activity occurs within territorial waters.
Yeah.
So, yeah. again, we rely quite heavily on our analysis tools and our ability to export and distribute all of the resulting data.
Yeah. So far, that was the last act, and now turn to some of the key takeaways. To sum up, you can say that the economic side of having a system like this is very low as a financially low of investment in relation to the consequences of having your assets destroyed. So it also gives a little bit of reflection over implementation versus not having any preventive measures or preventive solution like this one, and to protect your offshore installations. It is also about investment into a system that can give you both preventive measures, can communicate with the shipping, you can make plots, you can record all the passages, but also of course in the planning phase, where do we best place our subsea assets on the seabed? And not least is the ability, when the damage occurs, is the ability to go to court and claim your compensation for the technical damage done. We know it's working, and we hope so far at this stage in the webinar that we have given you a little bit of insight into the possibilities for protecting your subsea assets. Yeah, I think that's it for the key takeaways. We will have a look at the Q&A session and see whether there's coming some questions coming in. We
have a few questions coming in. So
yeah.
Let's see. The first question is the vessel data based on AIS and or VMS data? What about dark ships that turn off AIS to you, or is there a plan to use or other detection modalities, e.g. distributed acoustic sensing or satellite imagery? The data that we have shown you right now is based on AIS data. We also have integrated radar data where available, but that all depends on the local situation. Our platform is a data management platform, so we're capable of taking in and using all the data available. That includes any type of data source. So that could be radar, that could be acoustic sensing data, anything like that. We do run dark ship detection as well. Depending on what type of dark ship detection we're talking. If we're talking satellite imagery, that would be very expensive. So that would be probably something that would be most likely reserved for authorities. But any type of data that has any type of geospatial element can be integrated into our system. See, there was one more. Let's see. Can you analyze live or during the post-processing the vessel behavior to determine if it's sailing, fishing, or anchored? Yes, that is what our algorithm does. It looks at the AIS data or the other data and checks, uses the algorithm to determine what type of behavior is being done. So you can detect sailing, fishing, anchoring without them actually sending out that status using AIS messages. We also take into account the vessel state sent out through AIS. So if the vessel is telling us that it's not under command, then that is of course taken into account. But we also use our algorithms to detect activities without them actually telling us about it. Do you have a presence in India? And if yes, what is the range covered? We collect data from from all over the world with one of the major satellite companies. So we have a presence, or we have data available almost worldwide, and we have the ability to take in any other local data sources if needed. I hope that answers the question. Yes, there was one more. Can you integrate data from physical monitoring equipment? I think we already answered that. We can integrate data from any type of data source that has any geospatial element as well. Can a virtual ATON be deployed in case of emergency? Yes. If you have the transmission capability and you have air space stations, we can using the system send out aids navigation and plot out virtual aids navigation as well. Let's see. There was one with how do we manage fishing vessels which do not have GPS equipment inbuilt? There isn't really a good answer for this. If there is no GPS and there is no other data source displaying them, then we would have to rely on radar tracks or another type of data source, and this could lead into the dark ship question as well, either using seismic activity or electromagnetic or any other type of dark ship detection.
But isn't it so if we have the sensor input from what you just mentioned,
yes,
we'll be able to present it in
yes,
our system?
We will be able to present it into the system, and we will also link each vessel to an AIS data point if possible.
Yeah.
So even if we have sensor data, for instance, and we can link that sensor data to an AIS target, we will still be able to follow that target as if it was an AIS target, even if the AIS is turned off afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Another question, is the tool you're using here an application to be installed or just a web front end accessible from any browser? The answer here is both. You can have the tool available as a standalone service, either on your own hosted hardware or any web hosted platform, AWS or Azure, or anything in that order, or you can access the system using our hosted system here. So you can just buy access to a pre-hosted system at Gatehouse Maritime. The next one, have you ever collected evidence about human hostile activities, tapping or espionage? We really can't say. That's without.
I mean, you can say we have the tools to do it.
We provide the tools to do so if clients wish to do so.
I mean, I think maybe the gentleman is thinking about the situation where I talked about the Greenland.
Yes. As to intelligence activities, we really can't say anything about that. We do have other algorithms that are not entirely focused on asset protection, such as spoofing detection and stuff like this, which is also integrated into the system, which is not necessarily tied to asset protection, but those are also applicable in the tool set itself.
Yes.
I think the last question was, what data sources do you need? We need a single data source, depending on the area that you're covering. If AIS data is enough, then we just need an AIS data source, and this can be a publicly available data source, such as one of the major distributors of AIS data, or it could be a locally owned data source. We're able to integrate your own data sources into our system, and they will be available only to you and to your users. And we have several data sources also, which are public that we can use as well. The next one is there any limit to geofence between two countries of a cable landing? I'm not quite sure.
But isn't that what we're doing
Well,
in Poland, the gas?
I think the answer is since the geofences are specified by you, you can have as many or as few as possible. So if you need to divide any cable zone between two countries or two entities that need to monitor, we can just split the zone in two, and each country can monitor their own part of the cable as well. Oh,
yeah, this one.
Yes. Do you have an ISO 27001 certificate? Not at the moment. We're in the process of acquiring one. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand that question. I think we'll skip that one. So the next one is combining satellite AIS data and terrestrial AIS data possible in the system, assuming that it gives a better resolution with terrestrial. Yes, absolutely. You can absolutely use both. Our main backend is a data mediator, so we can take in as many or as few data sources as available, and we will combine all of the data sources into a single stream, and we will also combine targets. So if we have, for instance, both AIS satellite and terrestrial, just to get a better resolution, that is possible. You can also add radar targets, and we will link each radar target with an AIS target if applicable. We can also add other sensor data, and we will link that to AIS targets as well if applicable. So we can integrate any type of data source into the system and use that. I think that was the last question in the Q&A. If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to ask them now, and we'll try to answer them as best we can. If not, then we'll go ahead with the last slide.
I think it's here you see the sales team, myself, Michael, our colleague Hagward, and then we have Joel Box, who's sitting and have the office in Tampa. So please feel free to contact us based on the webinar here, and we will be ready to take it further. We hope that we get insight into the Gatehouse solution for asset protection, and we hope we made it in an interesting and motivating way. So, but also present some tools that can be really valuable for you when planning, when in real time, and when the damage occurs, and your possibility to use the analytic tools and bring it to the courthouse, and get the compensation for the damage done. So from Morten and I will say thank you very much for participating, and hope to see you soon again. And please, as said, please feel free to contact us.